He wrote, he's 88 years old. He spent the last 88 in a wheelchair, and he's in a maximum security prison. A real escape risk there. He said, it's been worth all of my 88 years, including the last, 20 in prison, I thought it was 15, to find the power of real love in my life. Oh, I was with him when he said this. I forgot, and I wrote it down later. He reached out and he took my hand and he said, look at me. He said, I've been studying human behavior all my life. He was a psychiatrist for 35 years. Real love is the most important work being done on the planet. This guy reads like voraciously, reads everything. I'm not exaggerating because you're sitting in front of me. And then he said, with tears running down his 88-year-old face, promise me that you will not let this die with you. Promise me that you will teach people how to get this so deeply in their DNA that they will be able to continue this work when you're gone. I wanted to say, is there something I should know? That they will be able to teach it to others, that they will pass it on to their children and grandchildren. That's why I'm here. Really. I could do this one person at a time, and it takes too long. It takes too long, it's just not efficient. So the coolest stories are not me doing something. It's where somebody writes me and tells me what they did with somebody else. Like the family we were with last night, where the first person to be touched was Mom, and then she lovingly went home and shoved it down her children's throats and her husband's. So of course they hated real love in the beginning. Gee, how many times have I heard that story? But then they began to see a difference in her. You'll all make this mistake if you haven't already. You'll try to teach it to people while you're not living it, and they'll roll their eyes and detest you. Whatever. But she kept it up. She made mistakes and she kept it up. Well, that's all you can do. That's it. You just keep making the mistakes. So the thing that we learn best from, this has been proven by learning theory, by the way, the thing we learn best from isn't from doing a thing right. Turns out we learn a little from that. We learn more from doing it wrong. So we learn best from mistakes, and then we spend our entire life avoiding mistakes. So don't avoid mistakes. Oh man, your mothers would be going, he is a bad man. Do not avoid making mistakes. Make them faster. Really. Make them, learn from them, and move on. That's how you learn. Or you could make them, bemoan them, cry about them, feel guilty about them, cry tears over them, apologize to everybody about them, carry them around, let them rot, take a good whiff of them. You're kidding. What a waste of time. What a waste of joy. Just make them and go. 2 days ago, Donna said, when you get done showering, I don't know how many of you are in the hotel, but every shower has a version of this. You turn the water off, and then you can turn a little switch to whether the water's going from the shit. And she said, it would be useful if you turned it from shower to tub. So I'm picturing how that went. Unbelievably, out of my mouth came, no, I turned it. Right. it all worked perfectly for her, but she made it up so that she could tell me to, right? I wasn't finished. Now, out of my mouth comes, you did it yesterday too. So then, later in the day, I went, and I forgot all about it. I said, I just remembered while I was in the shower, you can get rid of that picture if you want. I said, yesterday I said this and this to you. Stupid. You just make them and you move on. Hear me? How long ago did I make this mistake? 2 days ago. So don't be tempted to do as many people do, which is, wow, how long did it take for you to get this? I'll let you know. You're never done. Just little old patterns just go, and they just vomit out. But if you are aware of them, if you are rigorously conscious of them, just be aware. You don't have to change it right then. No, you can't change it. She got cold water all over her. I can't change that. But you can be aware and you will do it less the next time. Following this? Because I'm seeing, here's another reason that I'm here. I almost want to say to every person I've ever met, I apologize for being me back then. Because you never are done learning. Make sense? So if I interacted with you yesterday, I apologize because I knew less then. I was stupider then. I can't help it. So I've learned a lot in a year. A lot. It's never over. I met with a lot of people yesterday, and many of you may have noticed that I behaved differently than I did 2 years ago. Yeah, well, tough shit. I'm learning, and so will you. So don't grouse about it, just keep learning. In the last few days, I spent 2 days with my grandchildren, 3 of them. And if you ever wanted proof, absolute proof, that real love is like the thing. When I say, that's not a proprietary term. It's not like what I teach. No, just unconditional love. I just call it real love because it's shorter. It's one syllable, the real part. And somebody would come up to me later and go, that's 2 syllables, real. No kidding. I get emails about every mistake I make. You know what I do with those, right? If you ever wanted proof that it works, that it's the thing that works, I'll line up all 8 of my grandchildren any day you want. And you can watch them without their knowing you're watching them. So I screwed it up, my own life, terrible. Screwed up my own kids for the first anywhere from 19 to, I can't remember, 12 or 13 years of their lives. But then we started the healing thing, and they healed a lot. I can still see evidences of what I did to them. They'll do something and I'll go, I recognize that. But they learned it enough to teach their kids. So I get to watch these kids and it freaks me out. I now take visiting my grandchildren as a business expense. I didn't used to. It's a laboratory of stories. No joke. I sit there and I pull out a little 3 of a 5 card and go. It's incredible. Anywhere from 2 weeks old to almost 13. 8 of them. My gosh. There's a potential conflict. There's only one whatever, and there's 2 kids. They just work it out. Here, you can have it. I'm watching yesterday, there are 2 kids, 3 and 2, and they're tussling in the crib over something. I don't remember. One thing, 2 kids. The usual conflict, you know? And they're lived over it, and the older one just wraps her arms around her brother and just hugs him and rocks him. And I'm going, well, you left the shower thing on too. She's 3 and she's smarter than me. So a little embarrassing, but I'll be okay. I'll just get an operation, Gareth. Crap, it's so cool to see. So there, what was the show? Snoopy something. Anyway, the little kids were watching it, and one of the kids says to the dog, "Stupid beagle." My little granddaughter says, "No, he's a sweet beagle." She means it. The 2-year-old takes they always have markers in their hand, but these days they're very clever. There are little books that you can write on the marker has water in it. Did you know that? Water. And as you write on it, it reveals the dry thing underneath, so it looks like they're writing. Ooh, that's just sneaky. So when they write all over the walls, they're writing with water. But he found a permanent black marker. That's my boy. And he goes to his parents' mattress, and he goes, in a big swoop like this. Mom comes in as he finishes, and he looks up and goes, Mom, okay, I never would have thought of this. I'm really not so much into emoticons. I just learned the word. So, there, he does this. Mom comes along and does that. She turns it into a smiley face. Hey, and if that isn't a smiley face, don't email me. Now, you would think, well, doesn't that teach the kid like indulgence? Oh, you're just dreaming. It's because you were taught in a different way. No, he'd already been told not to do that. And so then she did that and then later said, handing him the marker, where do we use this marker? He said, no. No, he knew. He just couldn't resist. He couldn't stop himself. But he'll be less likely to do it again. And I looked at their apartment where they've lived for 3 years, and there are no permanent marker stains hardly anywhere. I mean, shoot, he's 2. Sheesh, does it work? So, here's what we're going to do. I have 24 pages of written material prepared. And boy, I can deliver it all. Or you can ask questions. I don't care. But it'll end up being just fine. Anybody got questions so far? Dear?
Can you repeat the questions
when
asked out there?
Yeah, can I, and can I get some athletic, close person? You're too far. Would you mind? Actually, we could alternate. you could do it, and then you could hand it to him. I don't know. But yeah, just give it to people. But I'll repeat them if it's not, yeah. Oh, I was talking about how cool it is that other people implement this. And I talked about the mother and her family. And this morning I heard just the coolest story. So I have known for years, we won't mention their names, but Gar and Elizabeth, who are right down here on the second row, right here. The guy with less hair than me. How old are you, Gar?
71.
71. Elizabeth?
I'm 70.
70. Much younger. So, 70 years old. And I've taught them both. Elizabeth is more demonstrative on the whole of the two of them. You can tell whether she's getting a thing or not. Gar occasionally breaks into a passive smile. He's just much more, whatever, quiet, steady, I guess, reserved, I don't know. He worked in the U.S. Park Service, right? Forever. So he was out there associating with the, cacti and the rocks and trees and what? Snakes, He just sort of learned to just kind of lay back. And yet this morning, Elizabeth says, Gar's now the best BFF of this little chick, who's 100 years younger than he is, because he loves her. Yeah? How fun is that, huh?
And a year ago, we were probably happy our wife was divorced.
Yeah, a year ago they were, on their way to divorce. And I would divorce Gar in a heartbeat. So somebody had a question, and then, yeah, baby.
I should also say we are probably in our second, we've been married 8 years, and we're kind of like our second year of marriage. In 6 months or so.
They've been married for 8 years, but they're really like in their second year of a second marriage. You really start over.
It connects. In other words.
And he just said it connects. Words you would never have imagined coming out of Gar's mouth. This is just how cool it is. It can connect with everybody based on just one thing. Just one. Trust. Gar decided to trust. I don't need you to trust. Sometimes I tell people, you're still not trusting me. And I could see how they could take that wrong. Like somehow I need them to trust me. Like I get something out of it. Well, so I'm on the phone with a lady one day, and she says, I feel like you're pressuring me to trust you. I said, I could see how that would be. I said, would you like me to prove I'm not pressuring you? Yeah. She said, yes. I just hung up. She immediately called back. I did not answer. Not for days. I said, you get it now? What do I win? I don't, you see any stars or bars? No. Always a little sad when somebody chooses unhappy, but not for long. Because I really do have a profound faith that people are going to get it. I really do. Eventually. They don't have to get it from me. I'm nobody, really. Donna likes me, but then she takes cold showers. Dale?
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about listening? I just really have discovered how important it is to listen, not only to the voice, I'll call it the voice of God, rather than the ego. And so, and then listening to what's around me, because I'm not a very good listener. And you've told me this several times. Can you talk a little bit about becoming a better listener?
So that's the single thing, if I had to pick, that I've learned in the last year. That's it. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, I only learned it this year. Well, not really, but better. What do you say to people? What do you do next? It's all about listening. No kidding. To what? You listen to the people around you, sure, which almost nobody does. Watch two people talking. Subject A, and as soon as there's a pause, like to breathe, then subject B comes in. A, B, they're not related at all. They just well be in separate rooms talking to the wall. To listen means to absorb, to drink, to suck in somebody's soul. Really. There are many people here, I'm not going to ask for hands, but there are many people here who've had that experience. When I'm talking to you, I'm not just looking at you, I'm looking into you. Just absorbing you. That's why you feel a little lightheaded later. So that's listening to a person. Now, the big listening. I have absolutely no agenda to get people to believe in anything. Anything. Real love, anything. If you say this is all just crap, okay then. So you can call it whatever you want to. Divine influence, the universe, nature, higher power, broccoli. I call it God because, same reason, really short. That which has, no, it's just too long for me. So that's what I listen to all day. Sometimes well, sometimes less well. Well, whatever. That's what I'm practicing. But I get asked every day by somebody, so what do I do when somebody listen? Because there's not a formula. Yesterday I met with a lot of people for 30 minutes apiece, and I invited 4 people to come and watch. We ended up with 12 people watching. I don't know how that happened. But every single person that came in, they could see that it was a whole different experience. Completely different experience. Some people I touched more, some less. Some people held, half not. Some people I talked a lot, some not. There ain't a formula. So what do? Shut the hell up. I'm not kidding. What you're listening to is, I don't care what you call it, the vibrations of the universe. Great. But when you listen, all you're doing is, anybody ever been canoeing? So I've been canoeing down what we call crazy-ass rivers. The kind that kayakers, well, I have canoed in a 16-foot open blue hole canoe. I've canoed the course that they did the Atlantic Kayaking Olympics on. There are class 4 in one place, class 5 rapids, which means the water isn't going fast. It means you go over a 10-foot waterfall. Poof. Hard to navigate in an open canoe. I'd never been thrown out of a canoe before, ever. And I'm going, put myself in at the beginning, and 8 or 10 kayakers came over and went, you're if you And I said, well, no, but what's the problem? And they're going, oh, nothing. So I'm zipping along, and I noticed that the river ahead of me has disappeared, which is not a good sign, usually. Oh man, I was dumped out 3 times. When you're dumped out, by the way, and you have to go over a 10-foot waterfall on your ass, it's a good thing I have big. It hurts. But you learn that if you go with the flow, what they call the line, through each rapid, you find the line. You just, even though it's sometimes scary and still difficult, you just go right through the rapids like crazy. You know how you find that? You throw sticks and leaves out in the water when you get to the really crazy part, because you can't know. There you go. Each rapid is named. Buzzsaw, give you an idea? Kiss of death. One place there was a bridge pylon right in the middle of the river. And the flow of the river was freakish because the river, no matter where you put in, the water hit the bridge pylon. Who designed that? But I got to it, and in fact, so many times the canoes hit it that they would wrap around, and then you had to go to the top of the bridge with a wrecker and pull it up. You couldn't get it off. So many canoes had ended their lives that way that some guy had cleverly rappelled down from the bridge and painted a bullseye on the pylon. So that was called bullseye. And I saw the bullseye, and I saw all the canoers or the kayakers. There were no canoers off to the side, and they're throwing leaves in. I thought maybe it was like a little offering to nature. So I asked them what they were doing. They said, finding the line. And some guy on the other side went, it's over here. It was this big in the whole place. It was this big. Oddly, the width of my canoe. Twice the width of a kayak. So I went down there in the line and just went through the rapid in 3 seconds. Otherwise, we'd have spent the rest of the day against the pylon. When you listen, you're just in the line. That's all. That's how complicated it's not. So, if you're afraid, your canoe is turned sideways, which it turns out is wider than the line. And then you'll hit the rocks, you will, and you'll tumble over, or you'll get caught in a roller, which is where a little waterfall goes and goes like this. So now picture going over there, and you are in the washing machine. And that's where people drown, like regularly. It's just being in the line. So how do you get to the line? You shut up. It's not complicated. You have to quit thinking. Now, the instant I say quit thinking, what do people do? Think. Don't think. Don't. Purple. Don't think it. Whole room's going purple, 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 purple. It really takes practice. So you have to get rid of fear, and you have to quit thinking that you know anything. That's it. No kidding. And then you'll start listening. And then you'll practice for the rest of your life listening. No joke. You just keep at it. But those are the first 2 keys. No fear. Don't think you know anything. Now, the don't think you know anything you can do kind of intellectually. Not really. The first part, you can't do intellectually. No fear? You're kidding me. Somebody's drowning. They're terrified. I come up with a boat and go, just... Be thou calm. Nah. When people are afraid, they're nuts. They're crazy. Not kind of crazy. They really are. And There's only one thing I've ever seen cure the craziness of fear. Love them. Pretty much everybody that came to see me yesterday was afraid. Yeah, everybody. Didn't help that there were 12 people watching them. So, in order to get rid of fear, you have to be loved. Then you have to believe that you're loved. Two B's. Be and believed. Because if you don't believe it, it's like pouring water on a rock. It ain't getting in. Yeah, I know, sandstone. Geez, another email. You have to let it in. Jennifer, dear, I'll repeat your question.
Okay, so once we start listening, there's lots of information that comes in. And I don't always know what to do with that information, and I know some of it I distort. So, and I don't know if I'm hearing it correctly.
So when you start listening, you tell me if I get the question wrong. When you start listening, well, there's lots of sounds coming in, right? Lots of data.
Yeah.
Whoa! Just sit calm and listen. The first time you do that, you're going to be just freaked out. It's just stuff's pouring in. 99% of it is crap. It's your head, your ego, it's past patterns, it's fears, it's the distractions of, look at teenage kids. They walk around perpetually distracted. On an iPhone, on you know what they do. All those programs I can't name. So how do you tell? So if you feel anxious while you're listening, you're deaf. You got it wrong. It doesn't make you bad, you just got it wrong. So you keep practicing. If you feel anxious, wrong. Here's another clue. This is a big clue, so listen slow. The more words that are involved, the less likely it is to come from that.
Then I guess there's more to the question I'm not asking.
Well, but see, I wasn't then answering the damn question. Thoughts are expressed with many words. Think about it. In fact, people will often try to deceive themselves and you by saying, I feel that, followed by page. That's not a feeling. No. A feeling is usually followed by a word, one, maybe two. I feel anxious. Do I have anything to add to that? If I say I feel anxious because, that's thinking. Nope. Feel. When you're listening, you'll mostly get feelings. And then you start to feel, hear. It's not really an auditory thing. We clear on this? I don't sit there and go, woo, woo, ah, accompanied by music, Enya, you know. Oh. It's like impressions. Best word I've ever come across. Might be a better one. Impressions. So I sit with somebody and I feel an impression. Touch him. So I do, in whatever fashion I choose. There are no details in this. Touch him.
What if the person is not there?
What if the person's not there?
Yes, it's just something, it just comes in this impression, just like somebody was giving me information, it says something, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I see that, I get that, I understand that. It's like, am I supposed to act on that? Am I supposed to, is it just
So what if the person's not there? What if you're remembering a conversation?
No, it's not even.
All right. So you're thinking about a person, and they're not there. And you realize, as opposed to they were hateful and mean, oh, well, no, they were just afraid. Done. Highly likely to be an impression. They were just afraid because not likely. Just telling you, not likely. Then you, no kidding, you'll have an impression like, good, I understand better. You are done. You're done. Stop it. Or color. Oh, color. Now. If I can't, I'm on the toilet in a train. It's really noisy. The background noise would be really distracting. So I carry with me, I didn't put it in my pocket here because Donna would have said, take it out of your pocket, it interferes with the pictures. I carry a piece of paper with me everywhere I go. I don't go anywhere without a piece of paper. No kidding. I carry a black magic marker into the shower. You write it down. Because I can't count how many times I've had just a flash. Whoa, that's what that means. We're talking about 4 words. The expectations equal something to do a blog about, something to teach some, I don't know, whatever. And I've gone, clear, I'll remember that. I've forgotten by the end of the shower. I'll make up mnemonic devices. I'll get 3 impressions in a row and go, okay, P-E-M. And I'll make up something. Yeah, well, I forget that too. So, out of the shower, write it down, back. It's just water on the floor. And I get to flash Donna. Is this making sense to anybody? If you try it, and you mean it, you just go, okay, I don't care what I call it. I don't care if you call it God. Just try it. I get emails every week that somebody goes, oh my gosh. People who absolutely avowed atheists. I don't care. Then call it something else. Broccoli. And this guy started listening to broccoli. And he said, there's broccoli. I'm good. No shrine, nothing. Just, now he keeps an odd head of broccoli, right? I'm good. Somebody over here, yeah.
Hi, Craig.
Hey, honey.
It's good to meet you finally. This is my first seminar.
And you?
To meet you.
And you.
And a lot of people here. I've met before, but happy to be here. I am sitting here listening and feeling the anxiousness I feel, especially with one person, my sister-in-law, because she will not let you talk. So she will start, and I'm feeling so anxious. I say, shut up! Just shut up! She won't stop. And I was stuck in a meal with her, and I'm feeling claustrophobic. I try to breathe, I try to relax. I fail miserably, and I want to bolt.
If anybody wants to ask a question, good. So just get the microphone to her, please. To Darlene. Oh, hang on a sec. Just one sec. Just hand her the microphone, and then we'll do it. I just wanted to get that step going.
Yeah, I was going to ask you for a hug. So.
So, do you hear what she said? She said, I was going to ask you for a hug. Now, why did you say that?
Why did I say I was going to ask you for a hug?
I never thought of doing that before. Seemed to work.
That's original.
Yeah, why did you say that?
Well, when I was first thinking of asking for the mic, I was like, I just want to be a part of the group and I want a hug.
I know.
And I want to fit in and I want to be a part of.
You want to fit in what?
In the real love group.
You just want to fit in anything, honey. Get it? Because you don't. Right? You don't feel included, connected to, loved by, sheltered by, do you?
No. You're my last ditch effort.
That's very scary. Can you hear her? She said, you're my last ditch effort. Which is a little frightening. See, I knew that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
We'll do more of this later. All right.
Okay.
So, why am I doing this with you? I don't do this with everybody who asks a question, right? No. Why? We don't care.
We don't care why?
We don't care why.
No.
Okay. How does it feel?
Feels, I feel grateful.
How else?
I feel welcome.
Feel cared for?
Mm-hmm.
Loved?
Mm-hmm.
Included?
Yep.
Which is what you've been looking for.
Yep. Yep.
So as she asks her question, touch her. That's all. So what do? Touch her. Do it now. Why? I have no idea. Who cares? Except that I mean it. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, after you listen and get an impression to do something, you may come up with reasons that will help somebody. You're allowed to use your brain. Make sense? But the impression starts it all. In fact, I'm going to show you how this works in a sec. Somebody remind me of this. Inga, write down incremental inspiration. Thank you. So, does this feel different from being with your, was it sister?
Sister-in-law.
Does this feel different? How?
I feel seen and heard.
I'm focusing on one thing.
Me.
Uh-huh.
And she won't.
I could listen to you all day long. Hear me? All day long. I could sit and just hold you all day long and not get tired. Ask some of these people. Really?
No one's ever done that.
Huh. Well then, if you don't get some of that while you're here, that would make you
stupid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you will.
Yeah.
So one possible thing you could get from this would be, if it doesn't feel like this, hang on for just a second. Pay attention to this. Because see, otherwise they're kind of dense, they don't pay attention. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't feel like this, it isn't worth doing. Really. If I can't feel like this when I'm doing something, on the whole, I just go, no. People invite me to this thing or that thing, and I go, no, I can't be there. And every once in a while, an intrusive, rude person says, well, what will you be doing? Something else. And then every once in a while, a truly insane person who doesn't know me well will say, well, what? Had I wanted to tell you, I would have. I will be watching my backyard grow. I don't want to be there. So for a while, I don't know what a while is, but would you rather feel like this or like you do around your sister-in-law?
This.
You think? So until you get filled up enough, stick with this. Stick with people here. There are a lot of them. A lot of people who can contribute to this. No kidding. They can. They're willing.
Yeah.
Hear me?
I got trusted.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So while you're here, if you don't go around saying, can I call you? Can I sit next to you and hold your hand?
I got 2 cards last night from people that said I could call them.
Whoa,
So I'm starting.
Keep going,
I'm
honey.
starting, yeah.
Sit next to him. Touch him.
Who?
Oh. So let's see. No, I can't do this. As soon as I point to people, the person next to them goes, oh. So, not me. Crap. Tell you what, she will, and her husband will, okay? That's 2. They volunteered. Tim will. That's 3.
They'll touch me?
They'll touch you.
Yeah.
You sit next to them, they will hold your hand, you will put your hand on them. Why would you be around somebody loving and not be touched? Anybody here sick and tired of being touched? Hadn't happened to me yet, and I touch people way more than anybody I know. See Donna on the back row? She's pointing to the really cute little kid next to her. Touch her.
She's a kid? She doesn't look like a kid.
Everybody but Gar is a kid to me.
Okay.
And thank you, Gar, for being here to...
Separate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you get it? And they mean it. You should be doing this all the time.
I know. I didn't know how to touch Tyrone. I was like, I don't think I better grab onto Tyrone. And there's Michael.
So you touch the people who I just named. You know why? They're ready for it.
Okay.
Some people here are not. Some people, it might be their first time,
Yeah.
and it would just creep them out.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Especially from you, you know. No, just teasing.
Slimy.
So you touch all you can. See that? The people who are capable of giving it actually want to do this. So why wouldn't you? Right? How old are you?
Old enough. I'm 10 years younger than he is.
Okay. We're the same age.
Really? 52? No, born in 52?
Yes.
Me too.
Not good at math.
But lovable. I like that. Yeah.
We need this. We didn't get it. You've been in pain for how long?
Oh, long time.
61 years. I'm not joking. I wish I were.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
So get it. Okay?
Okay.
And if that means for a while you don't spend time around your sister-in-law, then don't.
No. I like that.
Ready? It's a big step.
Okay. Okay, great.
I was talking to a couple in Africa 4 days ago. And she said that her 6-year-old was outside and got wet from head to toe. Surprisingly, a boy. And he comes running in the house and he runs up to her to throw his arms around her. He's soaked from head to toe. What did she do? She went, oh, ran into the bathroom, locked the door. He's pounding on the door and she says, go away, go change your clothes. You know that almost all parents do a version of that? While you are being loud, being rebellious, being difficult, being dirty, messy, food on your face, something, we go, that's all it takes, this. What if you were talking to me as an adult, and we're talking, and you say something not less than flattering about yourself, and I go, you get the message? Yeah, everybody got the message. I'm repulsed by you. You think kids don't get the message? They hear it all day long. It sounds like a little thing. It's the thing. So I saw a graph recently in a magazine, and it showed during our lifetimes, our peak capacity to learn various things changes. So at birth, our capacity to learn it's not nothing, because they've demonstrated that kids in utero learn rhythms, songs, really. Tones of voice, because they prove it later by EEGs when they're born. They've learned that from their mom. But it shows the peak capacity of people to learn cognitive skills. You know, logic, reason, that kind of thing. That changes throughout life, but the peak is at age 2. The peak ability to learn multiple languages is age 1. The peak ability for kids to learn emotional nuance, irritation, anger, the way the world is, read your face. You with me? Okay, this is when I dropped the magazine on the floor. I was on the toilet at the time. So it didn't go all that far. 6 months. So most kids by age 6 months, they're already screwed for life. And then it just keeps going. The stuff they encountered when they were 6 months old keeps going until they're whatever, right? Till they're 61. And so you learn that you're crap from people's facial expressions all your life. This is not a small thing, kids. This is the thing. It's the thing. It's the thing, the problem on the earth today. It's not global warming. Global warming is actually a product of this. Because if you're wounded and frightened and you can't possibly care about other people, so if I spew a carbon footprint of whatever the hell it is, 24 cubic feet per minute, I don't know. If I spew that, I don't care. I don't care. I leave my lights on, I don't care. I drive a Cadillac Escalade, I don't care. I'm not criticizing you, but I don't care. And that's how we got here. It's not technology. We already have the technology to take care of all of that. No kidding. I saw on a map a picture of Arizona. And they went out in the part of Arizona, the one little part of Arizona where the population is sparse. and they drew a little, I don't know, I think it probably took up 15% of the state. Okay? So, you know, a small part of one state. And if they put up solar panels in that area, it would supply the country. The whole country. Do you know how many solar panels are out there? 4. It turns out there are little niches of people doing that. Okay, little independent power companies. Some little guy and his wife from New York City who decided they just hate, and they go out into, no kidding, just read an article about a couple who moved out to, close to Big Bend National Park. Anybody ever been there? They graze cattle out there. And normally they'll have like in a farm in Georgia, they'll have, 5-6 cattle per acre, and they got plenty to eat. Out there they have 1 cow per square mile. Sparse. But there are people out there doing solar energy because they want to make a difference. Okay, it's a little difference, but they care. They're self-sufficient out there, mostly. Turns out they have to cart in water, but, well, there's, So we're talking here about healing everything. The world, the planet, you. And if you're here, thank you, to piddle around and make little modifications in your life, you're welcome to, but it'll be a waste of time. Kind of like going halfway through the rapids, or jumping halfway across a river, or, taking half the rope with you when you're rappelling down a cliff. That's a very scary moment, by the way. Did that once with my scouts. A kid decided he could tie off his own rope without me, against the rules. Tied it off, hooked himself up, and I hear this screaming because he realizes that this far from the end of his figure 8, which is how it slows your descent, is the end of the rope. I love that. It's such a great teaching moment. So I slowly rappelled down. Damn, you got a problem. What was that rule? Oh, yeah, don't do this. So we're here to change the whole deal. One of the reasons to touch people, I don't think of reasons consciously, but after the fact, like I explained to you, is that our wounds happened to us when we were how old? The most severe wounds. When we were born or before. If little children can learn songs, rhythms, cadences, and so on in utero, you think they don't sense anger? Really? Yeah, they do. So the wounds that have affected you most, by far, are the ones you experienced earliest. So get this paradox. The wounds that are hurting you most, you don't remember. So you're screwed, ain't you? So you go into an interaction and you react badly. And then you go, why did I do that? You couldn't possibly remember why. Because you're reacting to a wound when you were 1. Why did I say, well, you didn't turn the shower knob either? Because I was raised in a household where, wow, you were just beat to death every day with a verbal club. You woke up to beating, you came home to beating, and it continued till you went to bed. And then it continued in your head. A rhyme. It's awful. And that's true of just about everybody. Like, well, everybody I know. People come to me occasionally, sit on my couch, and I say, I don't know why I asked this question. So tell me how your mother treated you. She was affectionate and touching and kind, and when she spoke, choirs of angels sang. How did your father treat you? The same. Impossible. Impossible? Well, how do you know? So when you're walking in a pasture and you step in a great big pile of cow poop, how do you know there's been a cow there? Let me think. People actually think I'm like brilliant, figuring out mysteries. I'm looking at a pile of cow poop. And you're telling me it did not come out the back end of a cow. Yeah, it did. Am I criticizing your parents? Nah, if they didn't know how to do it, then their parents didn't either. Blah, blah, blah. There, we're done. No blaming. But that's how it happens. And so occasionally stop me because I go off in a parenthesis. I can't remember where the parenthesis started. So then I get lost. And now I still don't remember.
You were saying why touching is important.
Ah, that's it. I knew that. So why touch? The wounds happened when you were a little baby. So you stay there. That's where you still are. Watch a 45-year-old man when the truck beside him accelerates and cuts in front of him, and he curses and screams. He's acting like he's 4 years old having a tantrum, doesn't he? Because the guy cut in front of him delayed him from getting where he was going by 0.3 seconds and severed his manhood in the process. Really? Uh-huh. We're still 2, 3, 4, 1 years old. So if the wounds happen when we were 1 year old, what is I walk into the house of any of my grandchildren at any time, what do you think happens? Depends on their age. Grandpa, but they hang on. They want to be touched. And never get confused. Your grandchildren are not hugging you. They're taking a hug from you. Little kids don't give hugs. They can't. So that's how much we want to be touched. And so in order to go back and heal those wounds, what do? We heal people at the age where they were wounded most. 1, 2, maybe. Touching is really very tender thing, if you mean it. If you don't mean it, it's just kind of creepy. You know? And is there anybody here who can't tell the difference between a meaningful hug and a creepy one? Really? Is there anybody that stupid? 1 year olds, remember the curve? 1 year olds have figured it out. Well, I think you can too. That's why I suggest to people, while you're here, find somebody you can trust. Now, if you don't know who to trust, then talk to people who are more experienced. How do you find those? How do you find those? Ask me. Come up here and point to somebody and I'll tell you yes or no, and I will not explain why. And if you tell the person that I said no about, I don't care. Because I care about you. Make sense? You want to have a good touching experience, let's not do it randomly. Dear?
So there's some kind of a corollary.
Let's give her a mic. Except that if he gets, you still don't hear it, do you? Okay, I'm going to repeat it. There's some kind of corollary. Go ahead.
story of the children who die as babies that aren't being held and touched, and an adult who has wounds from childhood and needs that touch and being held too.
So for those of you who haven't read the parenting book, there was a number of studies done, which was really unusual in the day. They didn't do studies of everything like they do now. There weren't government grants. They found that 70, it depends, 70 to sometimes 90% of kids age 1 and under after World War I who were in orphanages died. No matter what you did. No matter how you fed them, the medical care, the shelter, they died. And then we eliminated orphanages. Do you know where an orphanage is now? I mean, me either. They put them in foster homes, and the biggest difference, the foster homes often didn't even have as good nutrition and access to medical care, and but people picked them up and touched them. And the death rate went to pretty close to nothing. Just like that. That's how much we need to be touched. So what's the corollary between that and an adult needing to be touched? 100%. Because we're still infants. We're babies. Gosh, the problem is we look like adults. That's a real problem. Some of the most stressed kids I see are kids who either boy or girl, who are 13 years old and 6 feet tall. Because people look at them and expect them to behave like adults. They ain't. They're not. Donna was 6 feet tall when she was 12. Very few guys are 6 feet tall when they're 12. Yeah, like none. And so people expect her to behave like an adult. And then what do we do? We try to behave like an adult. Well, everybody here has been through this experience. Everybody, or you're still in it, which is you're trying to behave like an adult, and you're a 2-year-old pooping your pants and throwing a tantrum all day long. And then you wonder why this goes poorly. So we have 2-year-olds screaming, "I want the toy," while they're pooping their pants. And at least when I had kids, they didn't seal. It just sort of went everywhere. And so you got 2 kids pooping all over each other and screaming, "Mine, mine," and this goes poorly. And they're married. They actually found somebody who would marry 2-year-olds. Who knew? This making sense? So you got to heal the 2-year-old, not the adult. How many times yesterday when somebody was talking did I reach over and go, "You're thinking. You're thinking. Stop it. It's not helping you." Adults think. My grandchildren don't think about nothing when they're with me. Touch me, hold me, go with me here, there. I don't ever see them going, I've never seen it. I wonder if, Grandpa's knees are tired. They don't give a shit. And they shouldn't. So my 2-year-old, several days ago, gets up on something high and leaps right onto my knee. Except that you never lose sight of a 2-year-old. So I'm watching this out of the corner of my eye, and he leaps, and his mother goes, "Oh, but no, Grandpa is ready." That's my job. It's not his job. Get it? But see, who does that for us now? Nobody. So now if an adult bumps my knee, they apologize, and I'm going, I'm a big boy. I've been watching you and my knee, especially since you're particularly clumsy and insensitive. Nobody sees us as 2. And until they do, they will not understand your behavior. Yesterday I talked to Anna Bako. I didn't mean to mention her name. And she's done a lot of crazy things in her life. I asked her, how do I see you? Something like that. She said, crazy. Yes, but no. So is who she is crazy? Not at all. None. Zero. No craziness in who she is. But when she's in pain, does she behave crazily? Oh yeah, over the top, honey. She's taught me some words I never knew before. You don't want to hear them. They are not edifying. But she knows some of them. She gets over the top nuts. Elizabeth can get over the top nuts. I can get over the top crazy. That's what happens when we're in pain. That's not us. So if you love somebody, you heal the wounds, you blow away the shit. That's what it is, really. When people come for interventions, I don't change them. I have no interest in changing them. Why? That'd be a lot of assumption and ego. But I can take you out back and hose you off. Because once you blow away all that, what's left is, magically, you. Listen how many people are saying, I'm searching for myself. Oh, good luck. You have shit covering both eyes and you're looking for yourself. And in the end, you're going to go, it's shit. Yes, Not to mention that you're buried up to your neck in it. We got to get out of it. And that's what love does. Gets rid of the fear. Just I held a guy a week ago for an hour. And he said, this is the first time in my life, 53, first time in my life I've ever been held, ever felt safe, ever been loved. In 53 years? Really? If a guy goes to battle and he's in a really fierce firefight for an hour and a half, he can come home and get disabled, get disability for PTSD. And he's not pretending. And yet we've lived through 53 years of being told that we're crap, worthless, way worse than a wound. Crap, and then we're supposed to behave normally. No, not going to happen. So the wounds have to heal. Have to. Or talking about techniques is meaningless. Meaningless. That's what we were doing. I wasn't talking to you as an adult. Feel this. Feel this. Now, remember this. And the next time somebody invites you to a plate of shit with chocolate sprinkles on it, you'll say, no, I've had chocolate cake, and although there are some similarities, I prefer the cake. Thank you. No, thank you. That's all. No anger. No, thank you. The most important thing you're going to leave here with isn't a single thing I say. I have no illusion that anything I say matters, really. Even though all these golden words are written down somewhere. No, they don't matter. What matters is the feeling you get. So, I met a teenager recently whose mother said he wanted to come back and see you because he said he was so chill. I had to go. Chill. They can feel it. I didn't do anything for him. Just chill. Same with you. It's the feeling. You want to get it closer? Come come on up, we'll do it closer. And relax. If there isn't time and a given break, yeah, there'll be lunch, and for you. I don't eat lunch anyway, so I'm not missing anything. Clearly not. Although, I learned that just because the sign says all you can eat ribs, you don't have to go in. Nobody told me. I thought it was like a crisis. We're trying to get rid of them. I consider it like my civic duty. You know, I can't do that anymore. Yeah. Yes, dear.
I guess what I would like to know is why, I guess it's kind of a stupid question, but I'm
Might be.
really afraid of looking stupid, so I'm going to say it anyway. As I noticed, when I'm held, it brings up so much emotion, and it feels like I don't ever want to leave. I mean, it's just, that's why. I guess I really know that, but I don't know why I needed it.
So if you're letting it in, it would unavoidably connect you, not just to feeling loved, but to all the deepest wounds you've ever had. So when people cry while they're being held, which is really common, it's a mixture of, holy shit, 55 years of gaping, open, festering, pussy wounds. And I like this. Oh, but then what if this goes away? We start thinking, which is why when I touched you, the emphasis is, what do you feel right now? Not what are we going to do when, no, you're already gone. See? As soon as we start to feel fear, we're thinking about what's going to happen after this. No. All the healing happens right now. It's understandable, the fear, just explaining. As soon as you're afraid, you've already left. And so the experience won't even register. So it's wasted. Kinda. Clear?
So it's healing.
It's healing. The touching is healing. If you let it be.
I just started.
If you don't trust it, I'm going to tell you a really weird phenomenon. I haven't always touched people. In my father's household, nobody touched anybody. The most intimate my father got with us was he would beat the shit out of us emotionally for an hour. If he was in a bad mood, an hour and a half. He could talk forever. We could sit there and go, number 4, 7, part of 5, his lectures. We knew him. Word for word, we knew him. Gosh, he just took a line from 3. That's unusual. He'd go on, and we knew he was done. He did more with me and my brother. We knew he was done when he'd go like this. And then on our way out of the room, he would kick us. We were so thrilled to be kicked because it was over. He never spoke after the kick. He would change his mind sometimes but after you were kicked, it was like, oh, thank you. It was like a little blessing. Go in peace. We have to go back and heal all that stuff. But that's the touching we got. So I didn't touch a lot, but I learned, I was telling you about the weird phenomenon. There, see, the parenthesis thing. Sometimes you're going to have to help me. And then, so had you asked me 20 years ago about when I started doing this, I don't keep track. I don't do anniversaries or that kind of thing. If you'd asked me, so if you were to just take somebody who was sitting next to you, because this is what I do, I don't ever ask anybody if they want to be held. Because they're too afraid. They'll pause, they'll start thinking, no. I just take them by the hand, pick them up, and sit them down and hold them. That's what I do. So if you'd asked me 20 years ago, how many people would let you do that? What percent? I would have pretty sure, being the scientist that I was, said, you know, 30, 50, maybe, tops. So I've held, shoot, easy 10,000 people. Easy. You know how many people have refused to be held? 2. 2. And after 3 more minutes of conversation, none. Not one. That just freaks me out. Doesn't that freak you out? It did me. What study ever has 100% of anything? Nothing. Everybody. Wow. So apparently we like to be touched. Crazy. So let's take a little, I don't know, 15 minutes or something, and then we'll, if you got questions, formulate them. If you have a question and you're embarrassed, ask it. That's not a problem. Just bring it up here, and then I'll just read your name. Remember we talked about, for you, if being around your sister-in-law ain't this, then don't do it. It's not a criticism of people. It's just, it's killing you. Why would you intentionally eat shit? You didn't know before, but why would you go to a dinner where that was the advertised main course? That would make you stupid. Right. And so, like just the other day, I got a letter from a lady in England, and she said, I want to know how the hell you had the right to... Apparently, she thinks I told her daughter to not speak to her again. I don't even know her daughter. I suggested she speak to her daughter's coach, which he was grateful for. And it turns out what he had suggested to her is every time she talked to her mother just crushed her like a bug. Just, it was over. Well, then why would you spend time with that person? It doesn't matter what their title is. You hear me? Mother, irrelevant. Brother, sister. The only exception is child. And so if it's your child, you may limit the time you spend with your child because you drain out in, 6 milliseconds, but at least you make contact with them. Maybe by text, whatever. You really can't cut off a kid. But everybody else, you sure can, if it's going to drain you. So a man came up at the break and he was telling me that in his culture, the obedience to parents is pretty much absolute. You know? When your parents tell you you are going to marry Susie, well then you do. When your parents tell you you're going to live with them, you do. When your parents tell you what your profession is going to be, it is. And it was killing him. So they orchestrated his first marriage. That was a disaster. They've controlled everything that's happened since then, arranged a fiancé. It was all done. Well, at some point, several years ago, he just left the country. Gee, I'll be. And now they bombard him every day or so with what a worthless piece of garbage son he is, because he doesn't do what they say, and to make things worse, he doesn't respond. Why would he? What would he possibly say to them that would satisfy them? Nothing. Not a thing. There are no words that would make them happy. So let's say he gave in. So he gives in. He answers all of their texts, emails, blah, blah, blah. And then the end of that would be that, of course, he would move back home from the United States to wherever, far away. And then he will be miserable, guaranteed, because he's on a chain. Would they be happy? No. No, then they would just keep controlling him. So now we have a score of 0, plus 0. No matter what country you go to, that adds up to 0. So if he stays here and associates with people who are loving, then we have 0, his parents, plus 1, him, is 1. It's way more than 0, infinitely more, in fact. It's going to take a while for him to break away from that. Because if you're told from the time you're born that the definition of right is obeying your parents, or whatever, well, then you're screwed. That's all you can do. If you believe in such things, I don't care. If I were the devil and I wanted to ruin the world, and I had just two wishes, which would be a little strange, wouldn't it? Would God be granting the devil 2 wishes? Just go with this flow. I would change the definition of love, just distort it in some way, and I would distort the definition of happy. And I'd be good. I'd be pretty much done, wouldn't I? Because how would you ever find love and how would you ever be happy? I'm so satisfied. And that's what's happened. Ask 100 people just for fun, because I have. Define love. Oh, what a pile of crap you get. Define happy. They don't know. What they define is entertained or absence of crisis. It's really kind of awful. We had some great questions. Oh, one of them is sealed. And they put it up here so I couldn't see their name. I'm too afraid to ask. I struggle with how to love someone, mate, unconditionally when there isn't physical attraction. Oddly, I'm able to do this with friends, but not lovers. This is the problem when you give me written questions I don't understand. All right, so let's stick with the first part, because I don't get the friend part. When there isn't physical attraction, how do you love somebody unconditionally? That's a pretty common question. I have yet to see a relationship, if it's out there somewhere, let me know, where two people learn to care about the other person and don't end up feeling sexually attracted to their partner. Why? Because, well, sex is really kind of fun, you know? If somebody cares about you. Make sense? Otherwise, it's just kind of being molested as an adult. But if somebody cares about you, they care about your happiness, that you have fun. I don't know how sex could fail under those circumstances. Do you? Picture this in your head. So you have a partner whose sole function in life is to entertain you sexually. That's it. That's it. And now you're going to raise your hand if this is a bad thing. Right. So do you get the point? And it's really kind of an interesting twist that I didn't know when I was 20, is that if each of you essentially takes turns, it's very difficult to unconditionally care about somebody else's sexual satisfaction while you are being sexually satisfied. That making sense to anybody? You get a little confused. You know, which is it that I'm focusing on now? How good I feel or how good that person's feeling? You can do it with practice, but it's harder, okay? It gets confusing. It's fuzzy. So it's kind of a one-at-a-time deal, often, at least in the beginning. Focus on your partner, period. Then let your partner focus on you. Wow. Woohoo. And when you get better at that, well, then you can both get involved at the same time. But Somebody unconditionally loves you? Yeah, you're going to figure it out. In fact, it's really common as I talk to people about partner problems. I say marriage problems. I don't care whether you're married or not. But that one of the first things we work on is sex. Why? Because saying, let's work on compassion. That's a lifetime effort. Sheesh. Let's work on listening. Well, you've been deaf your whole life, so this is going to take time. But let's work on sex. That ain't all that complicated. I mean, the Kama Sutra is only this thick. There just ain't that many ways. And so working out how the two of you can find a satisfying experience, well, that's just not hard. So we can figure that out. Then you'll discover that how you do that is how you do everything else. And you'll get to the rest.
Great, I have a question.
Yep. Your name actually is the next thing here. So, whoa.
So we're talking about feelings. And in the past, I was always in my head. Now, everything is how it makes me feel. But what I get hung up is what is that feeling meaning to me? So I get all stuck in the feelings and I don't know how to communicate that or translate that.
Give me an example of a feeling you notice and you can name.
Gratitude, love.
One. So, gratitude. So, you have a feeling of gratitude, right? So when I have a feeling, often, sometimes I just enjoy it. I don't have to do anything. But then sometimes I actually ask the question, should I do anything with this? I've discovered that the universe, God rarely intrudes. Rarely. I mean, to the point of almost doesn't happen. Make sense? You have to ask. Same with everybody here. You want something to happen while you're here? That's your job to figure out. If I can help in some way, I will be happy to. But on the whole, it's not my job to figure that out. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I can figure out what you want before you know and will offer it. But I wouldn't count on that. Make sense? So ask. Just go, need to do anything? If you do, just listen, see if there's an answer. Maybe no. Not hearing anything is your answer. Okay, well then I'll just sing a song while I feel grateful. Or you feel grateful and you go, I haven't expressed gratitude to Robert in 3 days. I haven't told him he's one hot hunk of a guy. He inflames my senses. I just haven't said that for 3 days. You follow? That kind of thing. I'm in the shower this morning. I'm turning the shower on, and I went, I didn't tell Donna that it was stupid what I did the other day. Out of the shower, write it down, and then I texted her when I was done. See? I noticed it, but then I asked, what should I do with it? See? I could easily have just gone, yeah, that was stupid, but it never hurts. She said she'd already forgotten it. Lie. She keeps them all right here. Or right here, and she goes, no. Actually, that's a really good thing she doesn't do. That help? Vina, dear. Oh, so Vina says, how do you always understand people's questions?
Because people ask me questions. Sometimes they're just so convoluted that I have no idea what they're saying, or sometimes they're
just has nothing to do with what they need to hear.
Yeah. So that's a really good question.
Can you repeat it?
Oh, yeah. How does one understand people's questions, like I just did with Darlene? When often the way they ask it, because their brain is all scrambled like Darlene's, there's no way a normal human being could understand that, right? Yeah. We get distracted by the very things they're what they're using, words. So if you quit listening to all the words, so I've gotten to where on Skype somebody will ask a question and I hear every fourth word and I still know what they're asking. You can hear it in their tone, you can see it in their face, you catch a word here and there, and you listen. Don't listen to this as some woo-woo thing and then go, well, I need to be doing that. Oh, you know, it's taken 61 years for me to listen to people's questions. But they use the words like husband. A lady came up at the break and used angry, painful words about her husband, and it was a torrent. She didn't say a single word. Well, yeah, she did. About 1 in 10 words were about what she really wanted. So I gave her what she wanted. And then she just melted.
I'm not listening.
So she says, sometimes I ask people to repeat themselves, so I'm not listening. Probably not. But that's okay. Asking them to repeat themselves gives you another shot at really listening to them. No problem. Doesn't embarrass me to ask somebody to repeat their question. So I didn't get it the first time. Shoot me. You're doing fine. You'll get better and better at hearing what they're really asking. In fact, sometimes what they're asking, they didn't say not a single word about. So somebody's crying and just in obvious pain, and they say, my child and my, you know what they're talking about? Their mother. Talking about their mother. Cool, huh? Cool to know. So on the whole, we're responsible for getting what we need, but sometimes you as a wise person, you're the only one who can know what they need. They don't. They know what they want. Sympathy, a listening ear, how far does that go? No, they need to feel understood. You felt understood, and I know nothing about your story. Not a thing. People ask me that question all the time. How can you tell me that you love me? You don't know me. Really? Pain is rolling off you like a black fog. You think I'm blind? You don't see it. So it's often accurate that within 2 minutes, I know you better than you know you. No arrogance at all. I just can see what you can't see. You can't see it afraid. I'm not a genius. Well, I am, but I was a genius for 40 years and got to a gun to my head. Follow? So genius is way overrated. It's paying attention. I'm not afraid. But sometimes you have to help people who can't ask. So I apologize, but not really. Bhavani, would you mind standing? So, however many of you feel like it, write down his name. Purple, checked. Sorry, I'm color challenged. I realize that's something else. But, yeah, well, whatever. Quit bothering me. Purple checked shirt. You can sit down now, thank you. And his name is Bhavani, Bhavani. Find him during a break. Find him at lunch, track him down. And just ask him if he wants to have his hand held, or hold him, or I don't know, sit next to him. Whatever works. Give him a little ass bump. Something. He would have a hard time asking it. As, by the way, if you're one of those, let me know, and we'll find you some people. Because some people can't make the first call. Can't. And I used to say, well, you got to make the first call. No, some people can't do that. So we got to help them. Doesn't mean we're responsible for their happiness. No. But we got to help them. Somebody was twitching. Yes, dear.
I made a mistake the other day. I made a promise to a person, and I didn't keep the promise, so I lied. But they had an expectation because I made the promise, and it set them off into feeling like they were abandoning on their mind.
Yep.
And we resolved it, but I didn't know the words to explain. I just said I made a mistake, and you had a right to have an expectation with me. But I didn't know what to say beyond that.
So she made a promise to somebody, and because I'm repeating this for this, she made a promise to somebody, and she didn't keep it. The other person felt abandoned. What do you say? Simply, let go of all your ego. Quit it. Just let go, and just be honest. Just do it. All right, so what's the truth? You'll be the person I didn't keep the agreement with. Crap. I told you that I would be there at Tuesday at 7, and I had my thumb up my nose. I was doing something else, and I just forgot. Which means what I was doing was obviously more important to me than that. I did abandon you. Might do it again. So, what do you need right now? Now, see? Now. That happened. Screwed up. Done. We could talk about that all day. But I ain't your mother. So, what can I do right now? They may not know. So then you make a suggestion. So, I'm just going to sit here and just kiss your neck over the phone. You let me know when you're tired. Give you a little hickey on the... Hey, when somebody kisses you on the neck, it's very disarming.
Ew.
Did you just say ew? Okay, you come up here. Come here. Take your time. Take your time.
Is that your mic that fell out?
It is my mic that fell out. Take your time. No hurry. But the entire audience is waiting on you.
Fix it, or you want me to?
No pressure. So a lady at the break said, it is very scary to be a 2-year-old in an adult body. You think? Because 2-year-olds are defenseless. We've spent 50 years getting to controlling, right? We've been practicing control for 50 years. Who wants to go back to 2 years old when we can't control anything? Most people won't do that. But it's the only way to heal. It's the only way. I'm not kidding. You can take as long as you want. It's very disarming. It's very disarming to be held, isn't it? At first it's like, I held Anna Bako yesterday, and I've known Anna forever. And yet, she had a moment, 1.6 seconds yesterday, where her face turned into a child. No kidding. I saw it. I was there. It's darling. We couldn't have done that across a desk. Let's discuss your childhood. Yes, that's a mother controlling an abandonment issue. Nah. Just kiss her on the forehead. Nothing like it. Somebody over here was twitching. Yes, dear.
I was talking with Dale the other day, and he said he had a comment from you, like a pretty loud voice anyway, about fear. And you said, just quit being afraid. Just quit. And so that left me a little bit perplexed, because fear comes up before anything, practically. So I didn't really know what to do with that, but what you said this morning was, the next piece of that is, as soon as you notice fear, you need to start getting love. That's how fear goes away. Is that the answer to that question?
Pretty close. Your first mistake, oh, he was saying, Dale told me that I told Dale just just to quit being afraid, and so is the solution getting loved. Your first mistake was talking to Dale. See, Dale believes that if you write down a lie, it becomes true. I have $1 million. That really is part of the answer. Don't be afraid, sure. But one of the great myths of mankind that's taught by pretty much every motivational speaker alive is that we have free will. Oh, no, we don't. When somebody's afraid, being not afraid is not a choice. Now, being not afraid exists as a choice, but if that choice is grown up in blackberry bushes and walled off by a concrete fence, covered in a cloud, and surrounded by spikes and barbed wire, that choice doesn't exist. Not for you. So I'll just choose not to be afraid. Wrong. So it's a choice, but how do I get to that choice? There are ways. There are lots of ways. One is to call somebody and get loved. That choice is overused in the real love community overall. People say, well, just make a call. Maybe, but what if you've been a victim all your life and you've required people to rescue you all your life and you're afraid and you call somebody on the phone and go, that, by the way, Vina, is what I mean by understanding the real question as opposed to what they say. And then what do? Well, I love you. You want to see an example of enabling victimhood? Go on pretty much any of the Real Love Facebook pages. The Real Love Facebook pages. And you see enabling. So people are in pain, and then people go, oh. Now, compassion is great. But if that person has come to that page or to you on the phone or whatever and told the same story 20 times, then, oh, I'm with you isn't the answer. So at some point you go from giving love, which in the beginning is indispensable, that's got to be the thing. So like yesterday, there were a couple people that came to see me who had never done anything in real love, nothing. I want to feel loved. Well, hail. So I just sit down and plop them in my lap and just hold them while they sob, because they've never been held ever. Not really held, touched, but that's different. But if somebody's been held and held and held and babied and patted and held and babied and patted, then at some point you go, and when I say babied, That's not with a tone. Do you hear me? None of this has a tone. Babied? No. Patted them? No. But held and babied and patted and enabled. You know, then at some point you have to say, so, honey, people will say, do you still love me? And I go, well, what's the answer to that damn question? Just like that. What's the answer? What's the evidence you have up to this point, do you think? After 900 phone calls. Just average them out. At some point, you have to trust. I answer the question with a question. What do you think? Well, you love me? So you're going to ask me the question again? What do you think? What's the evidence? Tell me. And then they say, well, you're on the phone with me. Oh, you're warming up. Give me some more. Until they can say this, essentially. This is just a tip for wise people. Until somebody can say, well, you've loved me and stayed with me, not left me while I've been difficult, whiny, complaining, resisting, kicking, fighting, arguing, withdrawing, sulking, and acting like a complete boob. And then I go, okay. It's not for my benefit. It's so that they see that the evidence is incontrovertible. You've already got it. It's like somebody sitting in the midst of a banquet going, because nobody's sticking a fork in their mouth. I'm so hungry. Look to the left. Look to the right. That makes sense? So it depends on the person, right? They're new, you just love them. Always. And give them very little instruction, in fact. I don't think I instructed you much, did I, when you first came up? Maybe a little more after that. You know, do you really want to hang around your sister-in-law? But no, first just love them. I don't even remember if I answered the original question. Did we? Okay. About a B minus, you know. So it's the steps that lead to choosing. Oh, it's like this. So crappy coaches go, football coaches, we got to win this game. This is the last game of the season. Your senior year is going to be lying right out there for everybody to see. We got to win this game. How do you win a game? As opposed to the good coaches who go, you guys already know how to do this. We've trained you. We've exercised the crap out of you. So now, every play, relax, baby. Do what you've been trained to do. Take all those steroid-enhanced muscles and do what you were trained to do with all you got. And it'll be great. And if we need to make adjustments during the game, well, that's my job. To do substitutions and go, you need rest. And no, you just go all out and on each, not even play. It's really each step. Do you get that? You juke to the left. It's each motion. That's what you do. That's what you do in real love. So you feel afraid. What's my next step? I could indulge it, and then that'll happen, and oh my! And you're in the bottom of the sewer. How many people here have managed to go from a little fear to the bottom of the sewer in 5 seconds? I can. All the way down. And then I go, whoa, done this before. Then you can pick one of 100 things. You can pick the things you're grateful for. You can recite those. You can say the 5 truths that you've all heard probably many times, unless you're really new, and then we don't really care anyway. So you pick somebody you know who loves you. My daddy loves me. Anybody who loves you and guides you is your daddy or your mommy. Daddy loves me, whoever it is. So God loves me. You want ultimate proof that God lives? I'm not kidding. You know what it is? that any human being in your life loves you. Even though Anna's going, don't use that word. Whatever, I don't care. Just go. I'm done. So if my daddy loves me and loves me, how am I doing? Then I'm not alone. I couldn't be. Well, then I got everything I need. Nothing to be afraid of. So, woohoo. And I can spiral up almost as fast as I can go down. Not quite. Turns out that falling is easier than rising. It is. Rising requires conscious, not even always effort, awareness. It takes consciousness to rise. It takes consciousness to build. It takes consciousness to grow. It takes nothing to fall. Nothing. Ooh, write that down for me, please, Donna. Your worship. She says, I didn't hear a word of it. Just write consciousness to rise, nothing to fall. Yeah, and I'll do a blog later or something, or I'll forget. I'll go shower instead. But do you get it? Falling in love. Falling. Isn't there like a clue there? Have you ever fallen into something good? I was running across a field and I fell into nirvana. No. You just have to be aware. And often it's not more work. But boy, do you have to be aware. More your question, or are we getting up to a 81%? He said a B, a clear B, he said. That's great.